So it's leadership from the inside out as opposed to top down. But it's tough. It's a lot of work. It's a journey. Let me put it this way.
Exactly. Yeah, it is a journey. On that journey, over the last couple of years, we've actually changed our executive team, and importantly, how we work together. You also diversified your leadership team. Why did you feel that was important, and how did you do it?
Yeah, well, it's all tides. And I think, in fact, there's diversity, there's inclusion. And I would maybe underscore inclusion as the first thing. If we want, but then I'll get to diversity. If we want everybody at the company to be their best and do their best, what I've learned is that everyone needs to feel included, that they belong. I remember when I was visiting a store early, there was a young man who had been at the company for a couple of years maybe. He told me his life changed the day a manager who he had seen at training orientation recognized him and took an interest in him. And so my compatriot, I'm originally from France, as you know, my compatriot René Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." I think he's wrong. It's I am seen, therefore I am. I'm seen and I'm respected and I'm cherished and I'm celebrated. And I think that's the beginning, because you can build diversity, but if the diverse population doesn't feel they belong, they're not going to stay. Now, diversity is indeed important. And, the country is evolving. The country is quickly becoming majority brown and black. Half of the population, of course, has always been women. How stupid would it be to build an organization just with people like you and I, aging white men? There's nothing with white men, but, we need to, it's better to embrace the richness of the population, because it gives us more effectiveness. I believe that if it had been Lehman Brothers, and sisters, as opposed to Lehman Brothers, you remember in 2008 when that bank went bankrupt, I think it would have been a different outcome. And I think it's essential in business that our teams represents the customers we're trying to serve. There's places in Orlando, if you're in the stores, if your store employees don't speak Portuguese, they're not going to be able to serve, the Brazilian tourist. Or in parts of Chicago, if the blue shirts don't speak Polish, they're not going to do a good job. So we need that beautiful diversity of talent and expertise and backgrounds, so that we bring, the collective best to perform for the company. I think it's a business imperative. It's a moral imperative, but it's also a business imperative for sure.
Now, Hubert, one of the things you do is to teach leadership at Harvard Business School, and in fact, you'll be teaching at leading global businesses coming up here in February. And what do you believe are the best qualities for leadership?
So I think that in many ways it's for everyone to define their own, secret sauce of leadership. I'll share my opinions, and the belief I have is that the model of leadership last century was very much around, what Satya Nadella has called the know-it-alls. So the people who were the smartest person in the room and had all of the answers and would tell other people what to do. That's how I grew up in business, and the role models, the Jack Welches of the world, were very much along these lines. Nobody wants to follow a leader like this today, except if there's a fire, we want to follow the instructions of the firemen, for sure. But in a world that has become so volatile and uncertain and chaotic, most of us don't have the answer. During COVID, there was, maybe you, Ole, had the manual on how to deal with COVID. I did not. And so we have to learn, humility in leadership. And so at Best Buy, we had developed the 5 B's of leadership, of purposeful leadership. The first B was be clear about your own purpose in life, right? And your true north, as our good friend Bill George talks about. Yeah. Be curious about the purpose of people around you and how all of this connects with the purpose of the company. That's the first B. The second B is be clear about your role as a leader. Your role as a leader is not to be the smartest person in the room and tell other people what to do, but as we've discussed, to create the environment for others to be successful. The third B is be clear about who you serve as a leader. So I've told the officers at Best Buy when I was CEO there, if you're here to serve yourself or your boss or me as the CEO of the company, it's okay. I don't have a problem with that. Oh, except you cannot work here, right? We're going to promote you to customer and we're going to love you up and take care of you, right? On the other hand, if you believe that you're here to serve others, in particular the frontliners, then we're good. The fourth B is values-driven. Integrity is, of course, essential. And the fifth B is around 5 qualities of great leaders. You talked about authenticity. It's essential. Empathy is essential. Vulnerability, being able to say, my name is Hubert, I don't know, and I need help. Humility, and then humanity. These are 5 words we would never have used 10 years ago to describe great leaders. I think today they are essential. At least that's my opinion, but I think everyone needs to define, how they want to be, what kind of leader they want to be. That's an important discussion.
You mentioned Bill's book, True North. That's certainly one I could recommend everybody read. So, this year, Greif is undertaking some fairly large changes, if not monumental changes to our organizational structure. What's your personal approach to leadership during a time of uncertainty and rapidly changing environment like the one we are experiencing right now?
These are very challenging times. And of course, status quo is not a great option. So of course, you need to be on this transformation journey. But we have to say it out loud. These, from a leadership standpoint, these are very hard times. We get thrown all of these crises on a continuous basis for which we had no, training, So this is hard. So I spent a lot of time with senior executives on that topic. Maybe a few thoughts. One is, don't forget to take care of yourself. Right? Remember when we are flying, if the oxygen mask come down, we're told, put the mask on yourself first before you can help others. So take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. Be surrounded with a support network, because this is going to be a marathon. So that would be the first thing I would say. The second thing is to reflect. And I heard somebody said, reframe things. Pressure is privilege. So clearly it's challenging, but it's also, oh my God, what an honor to be put in positions of leadership. And everybody listening is a leader. Everybody, by the way, is a leader. At the minimum, we're leaders of our lives. And so consider that, of course, there's a lot we cannot control, right? And wisdom is about knowing the difference between what we can control and what we cannot control. And consider that this is a leadership moment, an opportunity to rise and be our best, and hopefully be remembered 10 years from now, and have people say, this was their finest hour. They raised to the occasion. The third thing is that in this mess we're in, try to see opportunities. Try to see opportunities to serve. And I think that's what I've learned from other leaders and from my own experience is spend time with the frontliners, spend time with the customers. What are their needs? They're also, of course, in pain. And your key role, empathy, right? So understand the pain they're going through and transform that into opportunities. I know that, a couple of other alumni from the new CEO workshop, Christoph Beck at Ecolab and Lakshman Narasimhan at Starbucks, but he was at Reckitt during COVID, worked with their customers, McDonald's and Hilton respectively, and created safe solutions. Remember at the time, the hospitality sector, they needed to create a safe environment, be able to welcome customers. And so using science and their products, they created certified safe solutions for McDonald's and Hilton. The other one is in a world of massive change, right? The resilient organizations, those who will survive, they're not just there to withstand the shocks. They will be there to thrive in the new environment. So this is a time of the opportunity to refound, this is a time of refoundation for businesses, revisiting the key needs in the world. We talked about this, right? This is not about what products have we been selling. No, what are the underlying needs in the world we're uniquely qualified to address? And then reimagining business around these needs, because it's not the dinosaurs who survived, when 66 million years ago, planet Earth was hit. So I think what you're doing with your purpose and, your strategy built to last, that's very profound. And then, be on the journey to execute, right? Because that's going to be a journey. And the last thing I would say in that context, Joly, is be kind to yourselves. In a context that's highly unpredictable, this is not going to be linear. This is not going to be a straight line from where you are to where you're heading. There will be step back. Be kind to yourself. What do I mean by this? When the world was highly predictable, you could hold yourself accountable to achieving certain targets. That's become really hard because there's so much we don't control. So the new standard for me, which is going to sound weird, is, are you doing your best? Are you doing everything you can to move in that direction? If you've really done your best, that's the only thing you can do. And by the way, if today you didn't do your best, still be kind to yourself. There's still tomorrow, right? And then you know where you're navigating towards. It seems weird. If somebody had told me 20 years ago that what we expect of leaders is to do their best, I would say this is too weak. In the current environment, that's really, if you think about it, that's really what we can do.
Thank you for that. I have one final but important question for you, Hubert. What's your advice to them, for them as individuals?
Instead of advice, maybe I can share a couple of thoughts that have helped me in the past. During COVID, Joly, when we couldn't go outside, we could go inside. And so, as you begin the year, spend time reflecting. As a leader, how do I want to be remembered? What kind of a leader do I want to be? Yes, of course, there will be business goals to accomplish. That's the what. The purpose is the why, but there's also the how. And, what do I want in 12, 24, 36 months from now? What do I want people to say about me? What kind of a leader I was? And, write down your leadership purpose, your leadership principles, your key values. And the reason why it's important is that in this uncertain world where lots is changing outside, it's best to go back to what is not changing, which is purpose, principles, and values. The other thought that's related, so I read many years ago this great book by Ben Zander, The Art of Possibilities. And at the end of each class, he was the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic, but he was also teaching. At the beginning of each class, he would tell his students, in my class, every one of you who are incredibly talented, everybody's going to get an A, okay? Which seems weird in the academic setting, but it's equally weird when you are in these elite schools. These are amazing students. But he said, the only condition to get an A is that you write to me a letter within the next 2 weeks that explain why you will get an A. And of course, this led the students to actually do what, deserved, what was relevant to have an A. And my suggestion to everyone is, as you begin the year, maybe write yourself a letter that, is going to be looking at what you will have done in the next 12, 24, 36 months, or maybe longer. It's a bit like your retirement speech, right? That is deserving of having an A. It's not perfect, but it's going to be, what is it that will lead me to be an A? And then keep that letter handy and then go back to it. It sounds simple, it would be like a set of KPIs to achieve. It's actually more profound than this, though. So use this at your own peril. There's a product liability disclaimer when I say these things, but these two things have helped me navigate, challenging times, Joly.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I do remember when you and Bill asked me to write my retirement speech. It was harder than I thought it would be. So, and it took a while to get right. So, and equally, I've written, and some of my colleagues here in the room have written their leadership philosophy that I have shared with everyone. That was also a hard task. That's taken a long time to get right, and it's one that I get out once in a while, and I look at it and think, am I still acting like this? And is this still me? And that's also how you actively work with your leadership. Hubert, I want to thank you for your insights. They have been very, very valuable, and for your time, and really appreciate you attending and sharing your insights with us here today. Thank you.
You have a great meeting and a terrific 2024, and the world needs you to be the best version of Greif that you can be. So good luck with that.
Thank you, Hubert.
Thank you.